Health and medical information from the Billy Meier contacts compiled by David Chance, revised the 25th of October 2023.
Life expectancy, longevity, maximum lifespan. Contact Report 3.
A human being is capable of living for several hundred, or even thousands of years when it has attained a certain spiritual and consciousness-based relative state of perfection and a correspondingly high and healthy mode of life. But after this stage of about 40 to 60 million years, the spirit no longer needs a purely material body, and it becomes a half-spirit body. It then lives only half materially for another 60 to 80 million years, and in such high spheres that one can no longer get in contact with it from the purely material human vantage point, unless there is a very high level of consciousness-based and spiritual evolution. After 60 to 80 million years then, the half-spirit, that is to say half-material form, transforms into the first pure spirit form and enters the level of Arahat Atharsata.
Contact Report 8.
But now once again a question regarding the age. You said that the age would be conditioned genetically. Does that apply 100%?
Not to that extent, no, because various other factors still play an important role. The most important points with this are the external influences, such as living conditions, health, nutrition, and environment, and so on. The laws are of equal value throughout the universe. When we have a higher life expectancy than the human being of Earth, then this is conditioned by life. But at the same time, research and evolution also play a role that is not insignificant.
That's already enough, thank you. Are there therefore any possibilities of influencing the life expectancy according to our current choosing?
Of course there are, but I am not allowed to mention these possibilities, especially not in terms of genetic factors.
Contact Report 39.
There is something else, however, that you should explain for everyone for the interest of our cause, namely the connections or certain connections with the age of the Earth human. I already know about these things because Svath informed me about them when I was a boy. Nevertheless, these things were never written down, so others are not oriented about them. I am referring to the fact that the thought powers of every single human being are capable of raising or lowering the life force of others.
The age of each life form is partially determined by the external forces penetrating into them of a cosmic as well as environmental and nutritional nature, etc., as well as by forces of other similar life forms. And to be sure, the genes play the predominant role. Since the thinking of a life form, through the cooperation of the spirit, generates an extremely logical, thus creation-based power that is released as high-frequency swinging waves and radiations, a tremendous force is thereby generated which is capable of influencing everything. This creation-based power penetrates into everything, truly into all material life forms and all matter, in order to influence them according to their type and form. Every life form has a lifespan in accordance with its genes and its level of life, including the human life forms of the Earth. At the earliest times, when the human being of the Earth was also produced by his or her indirect ancestors, his or her average age was reckoned at 1,007 years of life, for he or she, trained and informed by his or her progenitors, possessed an enormous level of knowledge and abilities. Unexpectedly quickly, however, they fell to the religions with their erroneous teachings and were thereby deprived of the true knowledge and the truth. They also necessarily began to work against all natural laws, became alienated to them, and lived in a recommendation-breaking and law-breaking manner. Everything together served for the loss of the high average lifespan, which fell lower and lower over the course of thousands of years and leveled off at a 20th of its earlier time. And indeed, especially because many different factors over many thousands of years negatively affected the life and also altered the genes. A turn for the better has only been apparent since the beginning of the new era. Thus, the average lifespan slowly rises again. The main reason for this is found in the recognition of the truth and in the positive evolution associated with it. Thus, the more the development direction turns to the truth again, the higher the average lifespan develops again, for through this, the altered genetic factors and all other life-supporting factors are also regulated again, which were badly impaired over the course of tens of thousands of years. The mass of Earth humans moving in consciously evolving forms is still relatively very low and is often only connected with the beginnings of the real truth. Thus, no major progress has been made yet. But the more the Earth human turns to the real truth and, with this, also towards evolution in all areas, and so also in reference to life extension, the more his or her average age of life rises again. Seen as a whole, however, every single life form is of most important significance, namely in its thinking and in the powers released from it. All thoughts radiate as tremendous forces and encounter the other life forms, which draw these towards themselves like magnets. Depending on the quality, and whether they are negative, positive, or well-balanced, they produce powers of the same kind with corresponding effects in the life forms intercepting them. Positive powers produce positive powers, and accordingly, negative powers produce negative powers, of course. Through the erroneous teachings and other deceptions of the religions, however, the Earth human, in the main, is able to deploy many powers that destructively influence all life forms. These destructions are based in the fact that they impair one's age as a result of erroneous teachings and wrong lifestyles, etc., so the average age lowers. The larger the gatherings of human beings are, such as in cities, the lower the average age falls, because exactly at such places, immeasurable thought energies, in terms of wrong lifestyles, are released and unconsciously penetrate into fellow human beings. But also animals and many materials are impaired by these destructive forces of human irrationality and, thus, are left to an early destruction, like iron, for example, which normally never rusts as quickly as what is currently the case on Earth, and which only does so because the thought-based and idea-based produced progressions are destroying the atmosphere and environment. The most dangerous storehouses of wrong, humanly produced thought-swinging wave powers, however, are precious metals, precious stones, and crystals, which often accumulate these energies in deadly doses. Thus, an Earth human may make him or herself guilty in the death of a fellow human being, whether consciously or unconsciously, when they cultivate and maintain thoughts and feelings in a negatively degenerated form, and thereby releases uncontrollable destructive powers. If the Earth human wants to think and evolve correctly and in accordance with the creation, then he or she may neither move his or her thought forms in degenerated negative paths, nor in degenerated positive paths. For both are degeneracies that can produce very bad and negative consequences, thus they are contrary to the creation. Right thinking and evolving express themselves through a well-balanced and neutral wise of thinking and through right actions and right feelings, which then generate and send out identical forces through which life is produced and maintained, and an evolution that is truly appropriate for creation is followed.
Contact Report 97.
If these Sonairan A people in the Dal universe can already renew brains, is there not the possibility that human beings can live much longer and reach higher stages of evolution? I know very well that it is possible, through such brain interventions and manipulations, whose forms, etc., are incomprehensible and unknown to me, to prolong the life of a human being by centuries or millennia, but only up to the point where the body becomes barren of any regeneration. Such manipulation, however, cannot lead to the life of the life form in question becoming endless, or even only relatively endless, because the spirit leaving the body must inevitably take place sooner or later, if an evolutionary process is to take place. This is because everything collected in life must also be transformed into knowledge and wisdom in a spiritual form, that is to say, in the realms beyond. If this change process would suddenly fall flat, then the material consciousness would one day become stupid, and the spirit form would stagnate. It must therefore be the case that every form of life has a certain and corresponding lifespan, only depending on the state of its knowledge and the possibility of evolution.